Yes, we come to you right now with some big news amid the ongoing tensions between India and Pakistan after intense overnight talks mediated by the United States. India and Pakistan have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. Sources say the agreement came after high-level interventions and diplomatic back channels. This development follows a period of heightened tensions after cross-border firing in Poonch left several civilians dead. Top Indian government sources have also confirmed a shift in India's security posture. Any future terror attack will now be treated as an act of war. Meanwhile, satellite imagery from this morning over Pakistan's Sargodha airbase suggests possible damage to runway infrastructure from recent Indian strikes. This post that we are seeing on Truth Social coming from Donald Trump within the last few minutes. Let's read this out directly. After a long night of talks mediated by the United States, I am pleased to announce that India and Pakistan have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. Congratulations to both countries on using common sense and great intelligence. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I repeat what is put in capitals on Donald Trump's Truth Social platform on his personal accounts. Agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. This, of course, coming following a series of provocations from Pakistan, which have been met with sufficient and proportionate responses from India. This information we, of course, have received within the last few minutes. A huge development amid ongoing uncertainty, not just for the South Asian region, but also the wider world. Of course, a current moment of geopolitical instability with conflicts dotted around in several continents. This Truth Social post from Donald Trump, of course, bringing some potential relief to the ongoing tensions that we have been seeing. Let's go back to this post one more time and just read this out to you. After a long night of talks mediated by the United States, I'm pleased to announce that India and Pakistan have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. Of course, as we get updates on how quickly this ceasefire has come into force, whether there have been any further reports of provocation from Pakistan. We know India's stance. We updated you with that earlier this hour. Any further act of terrorism from Pakistan will be seen as an act of war. The situation is there. It's plain to see. The rhetoric is clear. Any further terrorist incident from Pakistan will be an act of war. We're joined by a guest to discuss this breaking development. First, we speak to retired Group Captain Dr. V.N. Jha, a former Indian Air Force officer. Thank you very much for being here with us. What's your first reaction to this news of a full and immediate ceasefire?
Very welcome, because all Indians, all citizens, on behalf of their political affiliations, have authorized the government of India to take a decision, whatever they take in the interest of the nation. And I suppose government of India has taken in the interest of the nation that this ceasefire, what they have reached at, is in the interest of Indian and India. So I welcome from that point of view. But as a military person, I'm slightly skeptical. Here goes a wrong precedence, which will be in the history, decades and centuries later, that people will say that there was a time when Pakistan started the war onto India and India let Pakistan escape without a bleeding nose. I think this message will be slightly troubling to any of the military setups subsequently, now as well as in the future. But anyway, this is no time for war. War is any time divisive. It is devastating for any nation, and especially in context of India, which is right now taking strides to strengthen the civilian and all citizens towards the betterment of their the economic status, social status. So it is a welcome step to go into ceasefire, only hoping that Pakistan doesn't indulge into it. But knowing Pakistan, knowing its past, approaches towards India, in Pakistan is generated. It has taken birth on the principles of hate, and thereafter it is living that hateful birth all through. So I'm not sure if we can trust Pakistan, but anyway, if India has taken this step, if government of India has taken this step, and they could, make the ways and the means and ways of ensuring that the terrorism doesn't emanate from Pakistan to hurt our people. It's a welcome step.
Yes, absolutely. If you are just joining us, I want to bring you again the breaking news that we have received in the last few moments. After intense overnight talks mediated by the United States, India and Pakistan have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. Sources say the agreement came after high-level interventions and diplomatic back channels. This development follows a period of heightened tensions across the border after cross-border firing in Pooch, which left several civilians dead. Of course, consistent drone activity as well, met with a proportionate response from India. This, of course, a breaking development with more information to follow. I'm next going to go to Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran. Thank you very much for being here with us. Of course, a former IAF officer. We've seen on screen right now that Truth Social post from Donald Trump, full and immediate ceasefire. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, how immediate will this ceasefire be? Does this mean now that the shelling, the LOC violations stop, or will it still take some time for this message to be passed across to the various areas in which these provocations were coming from in Pakistan?
See, I can talk about the Indian armed forces. I have served there. So if we have honored, if Modi has said that we agree, it will be honored from our side. But at the same time, if the Pakistanis, I can't trust them. If they don't honor it, this ceasefire will carry no meaning. But having said that, I will tell you, I have, in all likelihood, Pakistan's bloody well honor it because they are scared. They are scared to the last, level. But I will put some riders here. This ceasefire means only stoppage of fire, right? The strike that Modi did with the Indus Water Treaty, for me, is a greater hit on Pakistan. And I don't know how Pakistan is going to handle that. He's already authorized 9 projects. Now, Pakistan is, with this ceasefire, they can't dream of doing anything there. And if Modi diverts the water that is due to India, they will die, it will be a slow death for them. They have no choice. They have to come to the discussion table. They need to agree to the terms of Modi, and which will be 3 in my terms, which means 1 is dismantling of all terror infrastructure that exists within a stipulated time frame. Number 2 is handing over the most wanted, which they have been claiming that they don't have. They don't say that they are not most wanted yet. They've been saying that they don't live there. And we have been having evidences of them having safe houses and safe havens inside Pakistan. And 3 is to give a long-term assurance that Pakistan will never ever walk down the lane of terrorism. These are the bare minimum requests that they will have to agree to for this ceasefire to hold. Otherwise, it will practically mean nothing for the Pakistani state to keep, grooming the terrorists, training them without being able to wage a war with India. Now, if they do that, it is an act of war. So, I think it is perfectly fine. I read it perfectly nice. And people may think that India has again taken a step back. No. It is so beautiful. If Donald Trump has given the assurance and Pakistan breaches that ceasefire, believe you me, Pakistan is not a Ukraine or a Russia to deal with Trump in the same way. You know how Trump treated Zelensky. Shahbaz Sharif or any Pakistani prime minister will be treated like a chaprasi in White House. So better they be aware of that. Better be they aware of their fiscal condition. And if this holds, if this ceasefire holds, next 15 days, 30 days, Asif Munir is to go because he is behind this. And there is to be something that needs to be done with this guy. And on top of that, Pakistan needs to be made accountable for the Pahalgam terror attack. It can't say that we didn't do this. So there are a lot of riders to it for this ceasefire to hold. But if Trump has negotiated it, I know Modi is a very hard bargainer. This is not what I have told. This is what Trump has said. So let's wait and watch. I think we would have had a very good deal.
Yes, absolutely. We will wait and watch indeed. We expect some reactions from world leaders and other parties involved in this ceasefire and, of course, the ramifications as well. But I'm going to head now to Dr. Satoru Nagawa, fellow at the Hudson Institute, who is joining us from Tokyo, Japan. Earlier in this program, Dr. Nagawa, I spoke about the obvious regional concerns, but the wider geopolitical concerns as well. How significant is this ceasefire, if of course it holds, for global stability amid times of uncertainty?
This is very important because India show how great India's responsible action make United States to arrange this agreement. Because view from the military situation, India has plenty of the option still, but Pakistan ran out of their ammunition now. So that's why only choice Pakistan can choose is intimidation by using the nuclear weapon or something. That's why the world are worrying, and India's responsible acts indicate that as a nuclear great power, India is the responsible India to be the leading country. That kind of situation the world watching, and yes, we admit it. So this is India's victory. So that's why this is achievement, historical achievement. India show how great in front of the many people's attention in the world. That was what happened. So now is the time for India to say this is victory, I think. So from Japan, this is congratulations, I want to say.
Yes, Dr. Nagao, of course, that feeling that you're talking about in Japan is also being reciprocated with many other regions in the world amid, of course, this instability. Let's just bring you back to this breaking news that we have received in the last few moments. We're seeing a Truth Social post here from Donald Trump confirming that mediated talks by the United States have led to an agreement for a full and immediate ceasefire between India and Pakistan. To provide some context, a short while ago as well, the Indian government released a statement saying that any terror activity from Pakistan will be seen as an act of war and responded to accordingly. We now bring you some breaking news, and a major diplomatic breakthrough has been achieved in the last 48 hours, led by the United States. This coming from Marco Rubio. You're seeing the tweet on the screen. He continues saying that Vice President Vance and a top US envoy held intensive talks with Indian and Pakistani leaders, including Prime Ministers Narendra Modi and Shahbaz Sharif, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, Pakistan's Army Chief Asim Munir, and National Security Advisors Ajit Doval and Asim Malik. Following these high-level engagements, both India and Pakistan have agreed to an immediate ceasefire and to begin dialogue on a broad range of issues at a neutral venue. This, of course, a breaking and developing situation that we are seeing. If you have just joined us, We're hearing that a ceasefire has been agreed after diplomatic talks taken place and mediated by the United States. We now bring in Ross Feingold, a political analyst who is joining us from Taipei. Ross Feingold, thank you ever so much for being here with us. I bring you in at a moment, of course, of uncertainty but hope amid these ongoing tensions. I'd like to speak to you specifically about the US involvement in this ceasefire that has been brokered. Of course, this coming after conversations with Narendra Modi and Donald Trump in previous weeks. J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, on a 4-day visit to India when this devastating Pahalgam terror attack took place. How significant is the United States' effort in these peace negotiations and formation of a ceasefire?
Collective efforts of President Trump and Secretary of State Rubio have truly brought about this ceasefire, then they deserve credit for their involvement. It did seem over the past few days that President Trump didn't really want to get personally involved in this issue, even though simultaneously Secretary of State Rubio was making phone calls to both the Indian and Pakistan governments. So it seems like the efforts of Secretary of State Rubio have come to fruition, and the two sides have agreed to pull back from the tensions of the recent past few days.
Yes, absolutely, Ross. Yesterday evening here in New Delhi, we were reporting of an IMF loan that had been sanctioned to Pakistan, totaling around $2.3 billion. Questions were raised over the use of this, of course, given the fact that Pakistan was involved in direct action against India. Some experts saying that this was a stab in the back. But Ross, do you think this is the US showing their hand and showing their stance on ongoing conflicts?
I think that's fair to say. We don't know what influence the United States might have used at the IMF to delay the financial aid package to Pakistan, but it's certainly plausible that Secretary Rubio brought that up in his conversations with Pakistan and said, look, what's more important to you guys? Having a war with India or getting the financial aid that you need to fix the problems in your economy and keep your country moving on a positive trajectory despite its many problems? Frankly, if Secretary Rubio said that, it would come as no surprise, and it appears to have been very persuasive.
Yes, Ross, we're going to cut away and bring you some more breaking news updates. Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar has posted on X that India and Pakistan have officially agreed to a ceasefire with immediate effect. This development comes amid a period, of course, of heightened tensions between the two neighbouring nations. In his statement, Pakistan reaffirmed its commitment to peace and security in the region, stating that such a commitment does not compromise the country's sovereignty or territorial integrity. If you have just joined us, to bring you that breaking news, a US mediated discussion has led to a full and immediate ceasefire between India and Pakistan. Ross Feingold, bringing you back in. Of course, the narrative from the Indian government has continued to be that India is working towards de-escalation. The global community has pushed for de-escalation, and it seems that those pushes have worked. What do you think was done in these conversations, and how do you think both Pakistan and India came to an agreement given the fractious provocations that we've seen in recent days?
Whom is the question?
That's a really interesting question, because from India's perspective, they have an important goal here. It's not simply to teach Pakistan a lesson, but it's actually to take out the terrorist training camps that exist in Pakistan and that support these groups that engage in terrorist activities in Kashmir. So for India, the calculation is not simply, well, should we engage in a ceasefire? It's also whether or not they've taken effective action against the threat so that the threat does not recur and we see no more of these terrorist attacks in Kashmir. So the calculations for India might be a little different than the calculations for the United States or for Pakistan. I think the fact that India was willing to agree to a ceasefire would indicate that India is satisfied that they've taken significant and effective action against the terrorist training camps.
Yes, absolutely, Ross. I want to bring it back to the United States. Actually, we bring in some news after US President Donald Trump announced a full and immediate ceasefire between India and Pakistan. The Indian Foreign and Defence Ministries are holding a news briefing. Let's cut across live to that now. Well, as we wait, here we go.
It was agreed between them that both sides would stop all firing and military action on land and in the air and sea with effect from 1700 hours Indian Standard Time today. Instructions have been given on both sides to give effect to this understanding. The Directors General of Military Operations will talk again on the 12th of May at 1200 hours. Thank you.
Well, we have joined that statement later. Let's just bring you some updates from what was said there. I'm bringing you this information as we are receiving it. Agreed between both sides that they will stop military action from the air and sea from 1700 Indian Standard Time today. Let's go back, please, to Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran. We heard the back end of the Ministry of External Affairs press briefing there. Of course, there seems to be a sense of confidence in this ceasefire agreement, at least from the reactions that we've seen from the United States and from Pakistan. Do you think that there is a real likelihood that this will hold, given the level of provocation seen in the past few days?
And they've hit them hard as they can get hit. They would have developed shudders in their spine, right? And in all likelihood, it is the Pakistanis who would have run to the Americans that have begged to, save themselves from the wrath of Modi. Trump is a very good friend of Modi, and Modi wouldn't say no, but then he would have put his conditions, he would have bargained. And you know how Trump deals. He's a very transactional guy. He'd have put them on the mat. I don't think the guy who would have gone begging to Trump would have even had a seat. He'd have made them sit on the floor and then, made them agree to the points and tell them, I can broker it for you, but you better behave. So this ceasefire is going to come with a lot of conditions. They cannot practice terror any longer. This is something that they have to agree upon. They can keep telling that, good terror, bad terror, freedom fighters. That narrative is not going to sell. America is no longer there in Afghanistan. Soviet Union is long gone. Jihadi narrative has, passed its currency. It is of no use for them because the West, started getting hurt because of this.
Yes,
jihadi
Wing
narrative.
Commander Sudhakaran, I apologise to cut you off. We have some details on this ceasefire. The Directors General of Military Operations from both India and Pakistan have agreed to halt military action, both air and sea, effective from 1700 hours today. This agreement, reached after high-level discussions, includes a ceasefire that will remain in effect. Both sides have issued instructions to ensure the agreement is implemented fully. Further talks between the DG military operations will resume on May the 12th, marking a key step in efforts to ease the current military standoff. The situation is still evolving, and we will, of course, keep you updated with more details as they come in. An evolving situation, but one of hope, of course, given the provocations that have been seen from Pakistan in recent days, met with proportionate response from India following, of course, Operation Sindoor, targeting terrorist infrastructure within Pakistan. That, of course, coming after the devastating terror attack on the 22nd 2nd of April that happened in Pelham with 26 innocent civilians, many tourists dying. Ross Feingold, I will come back to you. We've seen Donald Trump and his US administration making efforts to broker ceasefires in the Russia-Ukraine conflict between Israel and Hamas. Now it seems that his administration and his government have enacted another ceasefire after diplomatic efforts. How significant is this work from the US administration in the face of so much global tension?
Yeah, the United States has had trouble bringing about a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia, despite a lot of effort that's gone into it. And the same applies to Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip, where at the tail end of the Biden administration, and with the support of the incoming Trump administration, there was a brief ceasefire in January for a few weeks, which has now been lost, and they're resuming hostilities in the Gaza Strip. But I think President Trump is very happy that Secretary Rubio decided to take a really intense involvement in negotiating between Pakistan and India. We know that the United States supports India. The United States President Donald Trump has an excellent relationship with Prime Minister Modi. And it probably became apparent to the Pakistani side that if the United States is coming in to mediate, even though the United States is much closer nowadays to India than is to Pakistan, Pakistan really had no choice. The best bet for Pakistan would probably have been that the United States government really had no involvement at all and was making zero effort. But it turns out that Secretary of State Rubio did decide to make a lot of effort to bring about a ceasefire. And I think that left the Pakistanis with no choice. You know, China is not going to, they're willing to sell weapons to Pakistan, but they're not willing to tell Pakistan, yeah, you should keep fighting. That's probably not a message that Pakistan got from China. And the same thing with Russia. Russia is too busy with Ukraine. They were obviously busy in the past 24 hours with their victory parade in Moscow. So Pakistan really had no friends telling it that you should resist U.S. pressure to bring about a ceasefire. That's why Pakistan probably had to cave in.
Yes, Group Captain Dr. V.N. Jha, I will come back to you. Of course, the news of this ceasefire, a relief for so many. Apologies. Instead, I will come back to Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran. I want to look, of course, at this action that has happened. And while the ceasefire is a relief for so many living around the line of control and international border between India and Pakistan, given the fact that a ceasefire has been agreed, what do you think that the consensus for those who have been so deeply affected by the recent developments in that region following the Pelham terror attack, what will the response be given that this ceasefire has been agreed amid uncertainty over drones, amid uncertainty over shell firing, of course more heavy artillery arms as well? Do you think this is news that they will be happy to hear?
See, there has to be some meaning to it. And the way that Modi has inflicted wrath on the Pakistanis, they have very little choices with them, right? If they continue to do ceasefire, if they do chest thumping, if they do rhetorics, it will not augur well for Modi. You know, let me be very clear about it. It will be seen as Modi's defeat if they, start building on the same rhetorics. They will have to come down to their knees. They better stop the ceasefire. Okay, see, Indian government has been very clear from day one. They have been exercising strategic restraint. At the same time, I talked about having strategic clarity. Today, for the first time in the history of independent India, they announced that any act of terror will amount to an act of war. That's you should know from where this came. If Trump was negotiating yesterday night, you should understand how these two things are connected, which means next time if there is a ceasefire violation and if the Indian government feels it is too much, then Indian government need not have an excuse to tell the world that this is why I pumped in 5-10 missiles into Pakistani territory, right? Pakistan will have nothing to hide behind. And you know how Trump is. If you don't honor the commitment that you make to Trump, Trump will call you names. He will call you to Washington, he will call all the press, and he'll call you names. That's what he's capable of. So they better be clear about what they do, because next time if the ceasefire doesn't hold, whom will they go to? They can't go back to Trump. And there is nobody bigger than Trump in the world today. They certainly can't go to Xi Jinping because Modi doesn't listen to him. Modi gives two fingers to him. So where do they go? They don't have a choice. Now, if the ceasefire holds, Asif Munir is in trouble. And that's good news for us, which means his replacement will not be as powerful as the old generals were. That will be a sign that Pakistani democracy could, see some, breath of new life. Imran Khan could be released. And if these things happen, the establishment in Pakistan could be less hostile. That's number one. Number two is Modi will definitely ask for three things. He will definitely ask for dismantling the existing terror infrastructure, which means no longer recruiting and training, because we know whom they recruit. We have pinpoint information of everything. How many people join? What do they do? That level of information the Indian intelligence has. If Pakistan tries to do this again, then again the ceasefire will not hold. Because what may happen, because the government is very clear, now we will preempt and hit your terror strike, because they've tasted blood. They know what the Pakistanis are capable of. They can even, wake up one fine day, they don't like their face, they can bomb them and come, and they can give this excuse. So they better dismantle their terror infrastructure, and they show it to us that they have done it, number one. Number two is Modi would ask for the most wanted, like Hafiz Saeed, Maulana Masood Azhar, Syed Salahuddin, and Dawood Ibrahim. They can't tell that they don't have them. We are seeing them quite too often in most public places. That cannot happen. So they need to be handled. Now, Pakistan will not be in a position to handle, that is something that I can tell, but then the ceasefire will not go too far. Which means, even if they train, what do? They will have to violate the ceasefire. If there is one small attack in India next time over, there could be, raining hell on Pakistani skies, which the people would realize. The aim of Pakistan should be to rebuild their economy. And come the Indus Water Treaty, Modi will play tap on, tap off, tap on, tap off. Let the ceasefire hold. He will not fire any bullet, but he will not give you water. They will die thirsty. That country depends, 85% of that country depends on that water. So it is win-win for Modi. I don't think he has just agreed like that. It is, I certainly would like to concede to the government, on this treaty. There is every reason why they should have agreed, because considering the kind of, I've been a military man, I can do warmongering. Last 2 days, what I've been telling on national media is exercise strategic clarity, not restraint. Deeply introspect. Do what you think is right for the moment. Give them, one more chance. If you need to give them at your own terms. Hold the horse's bridle, control the horse, and then see what happens. That's when the world will reflect. It is very easy to have, spread fire that side. There will be some people who will get killed this side also. That is for sure. But this is a method in which, we will get what we want, and there will be nothing, no damage also. Because believe you me, pushing them far to the corner, because they're mad people, right? And they have nuclear weapons. So we need to be conscious of that. And slowly, steadily, we need to push them and then get what we need out of them. So diplomatically, I think this is a master stroke. For the moment, let's see how they behave. I hope Modi asks for, the three things that I have told. Otherwise, Modi will find it very difficult to answer to the public, even to people like me.
Yes.
Right? So right now we are okay, but then we will see what he's asking. The ask has to be correct, and Pakistan has to agree to what we say. If they don't walk the talk, okay, we'll not fire bullets, we'll not give you water. Let's see how you survive.
Absolutely. Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran. Thank you also to Group Captain Dr. V.N. Jha, Dr. Saturo Nagao, and also Ross Feingold for joining us as we brought you that breaking news. Of course, we will continue to bring you more updates on the ceasefire that has been agreed between India and Pakistan, and more news from across the world very shortly.